Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Henshin Attention with Josh Knight the First. I am Josh Knight the First. Welcome out here on this Friday. I know there might not be a lot of you out here. This was kind of a short notice stream, but just glad to be back here streaming and talking on YouTube to begin with. So today I wanted to talk about a few small things, which I'll go ahead and bring up right now for you guys. So one of the first things I wanted to bring up was last week over in Santa Monica, there was a meetup in front of the Tamashii Nation's PopUp there, which had a few surprises. There were a few prizes given out. I was in attendance. A few other people. Wanted to talk about that a little bit. Other thing I wanted to bring up was some new news about Shin Kamen Rider. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what's coming out regarding that movie. And then also just a little bit of merchandise news regarding the Complete Selection Modification Lockseed Gaim set that's going to be coming out later on for people collecting CSM belts. So real quick, just wanted to say hi, what's going on out there to everybody. I know there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I want to try and keep it really simple to things that have happened recently. I know there's a lot of stuff with people, like, say, just mentioning some things like Gact unfortunately getting sick and having to retire basically permanently from doing any sort of things. He of course did the theme for Kamen Rider Decade and for the subsequent movies. Of course, very much looking forward to more news about Futo PI coming out. So any of you guys looking forward to that, you can go ahead and comment here. We've got a new system set up, so if you guys have a cool comment, I can go ahead and bring it up here in the chat. But let's go ahead and start with the most recent thing we had here, which was this news here about the Gaim Lockseeds that are coming out later this year. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at what those are. So as you can see here, this is a set specific to Kamen Rider Gaim. So what you can see there is 3 of the Lockseeds that he uses there in the show: Pineapple, Suika, Watermelon, and Ichigo Strawberry. Those are 3 forms that he got to use there in the series, as well as 3 other Lockseeds, 2 of which were there in the movie, which were the Black Lemon and Black Orange Lockseeds for when he went evil for like 5 minutes. And the other one being the Fresh Orange Lockseed, which was from a Hyper Battle video. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Kamen Rider Gaim, those are all specific to that character, for the main character there in Kamen Rider Gaim, Kota. Thankfully now, Toei has had both episodes of Kamen Rider Gaim, the first 2 episodes, uploaded recently to their channel, so you can go ahead and check those out. Now, these of course are for the Complete Selection Modification line of belts that Premium Bandai is putting out. Now, I don't have these personally, but they're in line for me to eventually collect. Now, some people have asked, if you're not familiar, well, should I get these, should I not? Now, if you haven't ever gotten the chance to get a deluxe Sengoku driver before, and you're interested in getting these, there is a slight difference. With some of the other Complete Selection Modifications, or CSM belts for short, some of them aren't that different, to be quite honest. Myself personally, I've got the CSM 1.5 double driver that came out, and that is pretty much the same size, the same mold, the same plastic mold as the deluxe release. So there's really not that big of a difference there, unless you're really into that detailing or really into getting that extra strap for it. Now, there is another option. If you've got the deluxe there, you can always get a belt extender, which is way cheaper and a lot easier on people's pocketbook. So you can do that. But for the modifications, the Complete Selection Modification set for Gaim, that belt is different. So those Lockseeds don't fit in that belt from deluxe to CSM, so there is a difference there. Now, if you're a completionist, you can go ahead and get those, but you can get them in different sets. The original set came with Gaim's Lockseed. You can also get one without a Lockseed if you want to. They gave that option out because they're in the show. There is the option for people who are just wearing them to stave off the bad things that happen in the show, and I don't want to get into spoilers for anybody who hasn't watched this show, but you know, you have that option there. Now, is it a must buy? Really, it's only if you're a completionist. Otherwise, me personally, I don't think I'll be putting down money on this. There's a lot of other really cool CSM things that are coming out later. Just next month, we're going to get the Kamen Rider Agito belt dropping. I'm very much looking forward to getting that just in a few weeks here, maybe 4 weeks out from right now as we're streaming this. And then of course next spring we're going to be getting that super awesome CSM Typhoon set. Now that thing is pretty pricey, and I think, as far as I'm aware, most places have that pre-order already capped off. So if you manage to find one somewhere, good job. But that's something that's coming out here later on from Premium Bandai. You can go ahead and get in on that and add that to your collection if you so choose. So let's go ahead and take a look at something else here, which is new information on Shin Kamen Rider. So Shin Kamen Rider, of course, is this new, I guess you'd call it a reimagining reboot that's being helmed by Hideaki Anno. Of course, Hideaki Anno is the creator, director of Neon Genesis Evangelion. He is an avid tokusatsu fan. Of course, he's working on writing for Shin Ultraman, which has finished filming, and they're just waiting for a way to release that, or a time to release that, of course, right now in the current climate. But this has been his pet project ever since he completed work on that, completed work on the most recent Evangelion movie, which is, of course, out streaming right now on Amazon. This is it right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some stuff that we are seeing very recently, within the last 24 hours, from Shin Kamen Rider. So here, the official Twitter for the movie has tweeted out these photos of the mask for the Kamen Rider there in the movie. Now, they're working as hard as they can, according to the tweet, to go ahead and get everything done, and the mask for the hero is currently being worked on. A few weeks ago, we got this look at the updated logo for the company that Kamen Rider works with, Tachibana Racing, but what it's on top of there is his signature motorcycle, the Cyclone. So fans of the original series will recognize all of those things from the original. Now, Hideaki Anno, of course, has said that this is something that he wants to take very seriously. He wants to see this through. A lot of his work, Evangelion, reflects what his love of tokusatsu has been his whole life. If you've ever looked at pictures of the man, he's very noticeably an avid tokusatsu collector. He's got his own 1/1 full-body Kamen Rider suit, the original suit, with the pink eyes, the light blue coloring, that he wore just simply for cosplay purposes. There's also a small series that was done for his wife, who has animated a little bit of the interaction between her and him about how much he loves Kamen Rider, and a lot of it's kind of blown out of proportion to comedic effect, but a lot of it is actually very true to his character. Now, I'm very much looking forward to what he does with this movie, because he's somebody who I can trust. Once he actually gets on a project and sees it through, it's amazing work. Of course, for anybody who's seen Evangelion, who's looking forward to Shin Kamen Rider, we got that trailer earlier on this year. And here we can see he's not necessarily reinventing the wheel here. I'll go ahead and bring back up the photos here. So if we take a look here at the Tachibana Racing logo, I know a lot of people have taken a look at it and said, well, that looks a lot like the Agito symbol from Kamen Rider Agito. Well, really, it's kind of the other way around. The Agito symbol looks like the bike that's there on the original Tachibana Racing logo, but still recognizably, he's using the same colors. He hasn't really strayed too far. And even looking back at the mask photos here, those are the pink compound eyes from the original suit. And looking at the mask there, that's very recognizably the original Kamen Rider face there. So he's not doing anything remarkably different. I know a lot of people might have been a little bit, just a tad worried about what he could do if he was going to take it in a weird direction. I'm not worried about that in the slightest, because he has such a reverence for the material. So I'm very much looking forward to this, but unfortunately, as you can see here from the promotional picture there, we're going to have to wait a bit. The movie's not scheduled to come out in Japan until March of 2023, so we've got 2 years, or a little under 2 years at this point, to wait until we can do that. Now, they've said that they're working on getting casting underway very soon. The script is done. They're working on these props right now. Cyclone's ready. They're working on the costume. The other thing to worry about is, well, how's he going to tackle the kaijin of the series, the monsters? And I'm interested to see what he does there, because they have the option to do a couple of things there that might not have been so easy to do back in the 70s when the series originally premiered. Now, I do want to remind people this isn't the first time we've gotten a retelling of Kamen Rider. Back in 2005, There was Kamen Rider the First, which came out there in theaters, which was a retelling, a modernization of the original Kamen Rider story, and that covered very loosely the introduction of Hongo Takeshi, of Ichimonji Hayato, although Ichimonji's intro was changed quite a bit. The movie was popular enough to spawn a sequel, which was Kamen Rider the Next a few years later. That one didn't do as well because it strayed way further from the material, and very much half of the movie is a very good tokusatsu movie, and the other half is a horror movie which feels very disjointed. So that one, your mileage may vary. Now, Kamen Rider the First was released over here as Masked Rider the First from, God, I can't remember the name of the company, but it was released for a small amount of time there on DVD. You can still find it over in, if you can ever get to a dealer's room for a convention, usually you'll find that in the live action section for, most booths that are selling DVDs of anime and things like that. But for the most part, the DVD is out of print. Either way, you can always check out that movie. You can always check out, thankfully now, if you go over to Tokusatsu's channel over on Tubi, the entirety of the original 1971 run of Kamen Rider, all 96 episodes, are available for free. So if you want to go ahead and check that out and compare it to whatever Anno's vision is here for the movie, you can totally do that for free. It's not going to cost you a dime. You don't have to sign up to pay anything for Tubi. You can just check that out at your leisure. My hope is that when this movie comes out, there will be some kind of international release, because the whole idea of Toei doing this, they announced this back during Kamen Rider Day in April, is that they are trying to have a much larger international presence, which is music to my ears after so many years of them being kind of playing it close to the chest as far as the franchise is concerned. The more things they do, like making sure that we can have CSMs over here, or making sure that we can see at least the first 2 episodes, does seem like a step in the right direction to making sure that people are more aware of the franchise, because it is highly influential over there, and a lot of people are more aware of it now than they used to be. So my hope is that we do get to see it. I would love to be able to see it in a theater with a lot of other fans, maybe even have some convention ties in if Toei is willing to play ball with that. But I'm very much looking forward to that. Hopefully that is a thing that we get to do in the near future. So let's go ahead and take that off, and we'll go ahead and go right into this picture right here of me with Kamen Rider 01. That is not a cosplayer. That is an official suit from Toei that was there. That was their surprise there at the event last weekend. So that was out in Santa Monica at the Tamashii Nation's PopUp there, not too far, just a stone's throw away from Santa Monica Beach. I very much would like to attend more of these kind of events. Speaking with some people there, they said that their hope is later on for other conventions, when it is safe, to be able to do so. Granted, I understand there weren't a lot of other people who were able to attend for multiple reasons, whether it was kind of short notice or, quite honestly, as you can see there, I'm still wearing my mask. I'm out in public. There are still very much concerns about safety as far as that goes. But in general, being able to be around fans is something I miss, and it's something I'd like to be able to take part of. Now, Team Rider did tweet out there on their official Twitter there that there were prizes given away, and there's one photo there of me having won a prize. Actually won quite a few prizes. Not to toot my own horn, that's just kind of what happened. So one of them was this bad boy right here, this giant thing that's bigger than my head. This is the SIC Ryu Oyama redesign of Kuga in his mighty form. You can see him here on the back. I'll get him a little closer to the camera. This is a big boy. He's heavy, he's pretty, he's amazing, he is expensive. So I'm very shocked that I was able to have the chance to do it, much less actually get one. Now, that wasn't the only thing. They had a couple of games there which I was able to take part in and get a couple of prizes from. The other thing I got, which was really cool and meant a lot to me, was the Flaming Tiger Progrise key there from Kamen Rider 01. This is the deluxe Progrise key, so this works in the Deluxe 01 driver. It's pretty loud since it's deluxe. Hopefully this isn't too loud for the microphone here. I'll go ahead and activate that. And of course, the deluxe one lights up. If you get one of the candy ones, they also fit there in the deluxe belt, but they do not light up, and they take a little more to activate, and they just cycle through the sounds. But that wasn't the best one. The coolest thing, if I can get my producer over here to hand it to me, I didn't even know this was an option, and I don't even think I can fit this on camera here entirely, was this premium Bandai... Oh, the coloring is going to kind of disappear here. This premium Bandai... Kamen Rider 01 backpack. Now, this thing is quite honestly amazing. I'm glad that I got the chance to get this. I didn't even realize this was an option until the very, very end, when there was a pose-off between the people there, having to go through different Kamen Rider transformation henshin poses. Now, admittedly, Kamen Rider is something that's been a part of my life since 2006, since I became a fan during Kamen Rider Kabuto. And when I became a fan hard. I practiced as much as I could, quite literally daily, to learn everything I could about the show, and most definitely learning these transformation poses. So when it came down to it and they asked, does anybody want to go ahead and throw down and do these poses, I volunteered. And I got to give it up to the contestant I was up against. He went the distance along with me, and it wasn't until we got to a very obscure one, which was Kamen Rider G, which was the one short episode that they did around Decade. That was the deciding factor there that allowed me to be able to get that. And all in all, that was a great feeling being able to do that. My only wish is that more people had the option to be able to do that. So hopefully in the future, more events like this will take place, not just here in Southern California, but for the East Coast, for Washington, Texas, Florida, wherever there are Kamen Rider fans. I'd love to be able to see more people get out there, be more vocal about saying, hey, we are fans, we want to take part in this. But on top of that, the other thing I'd love to see is more people who aren't familiar with the show as well. It was interesting being there and seeing just regular, normal people passing by, seeing the 01 suit there with a professional stunt actor there in the suit, like in the flesh. Something I didn't think I was going to get the chance to see that day. And I know I can appreciate it on a different level, but other people just walking by couldn't help but stop. And that's the great thing, I think specifically applies to 01's design, is that it's very eye-catching. He's got that highlighter yellow armor there across his body. There were kids walking up with their parents who had no idea what it was. And that's a great way to get people interested. Being able to see that really is a great way of getting people interested, because they don't know what they're looking at. If you ask the question, oh, is this Power Rangers? You're not wrong when you say that. The same people, the same company that made the original show made this. So that's a perfectly logical way to be able to get a conversation started, because you have to have some sort of a frame of reference for these things. Otherwise, how else are you going to get new people into the product, into the franchise? So all in all, the event lasted for 2 hours. I do wish that I had a little more time to get a cosplay together, to get something together, to be able to show off as well. The only thing I was able to bring was my my CSM double driver that I mentioned earlier. They did want a photo taken for everybody there who had a belt. Admittedly, I do have to admit I did have the wrong Gaia memory in the wrong slot of the belt. So that's on me, and you can see it there in the photo. I had Cyclone where Joker's supposed to be and vice versa. But hopefully we'll get the chance to do this again. At this point, with all of these things that have been coming out for Shin Kamen Rider, for an event like this, for the Lockseeds coming out, these are all great things that we didn't have before. I remember when I got into the fandom, there wasn't hardly anybody. Everybody was very scattered. All we had were quite honestly, fan subs at the time. And now, with legal options, with people working to make sure that we have these things over here that we can do, to have meetups, to have products brought in directly from Japan, it's a great time to be a fan. What's also great, too, is that it's a better time to get people into the franchise. And that's really the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about, which is more and more people get really protective of what they're fans of. And sometimes we lose sight of the way we were when we got into it. I tried, or I do try very hard to not be the kind of fan I was when I first got into it, because I was super protective of it. I was really kind of a jerk about it. But now, when I see the little kids there who want to take part in it, you make sure they know what it is. You make sure that you give them a little something, a little toy, a little reminder of, hey, this is a cool thing. This guy's a hero. There's a whole bunch of them. There's guy riders. There's girl riders. There's a lot to like here. So hopefully there'll be more and more people who get involved here and are able to take part in it, because it means a lot to me. It can definitely mean a lot to other people. I mean, right now I'm wearing I don't know if you can see it from behind the microphone here, the 50th anniversary shirt here, because it is the 50th anniversary this year. This is why they're making all of these announcements for things like Futopia, for Shin Kamen Rider. And really, I think it's up to the fans to make sure that we do make a good effort to make sure more people are aware of it and more people can appreciate it, then instead of just keeping the fandom small. Now, I get it. Not everybody in your fandom is going to see things the same way you do. And there's certainly something to be said about protecting yourself when it comes to being able to enjoy your fandom. But from personal experience, there's a lot of great people out there. A lot of my best friends that I've made over the years have been through getting into Tokusatsu, getting into Kamen Rider. The idea is to be able to do that in a safe way, definitely not to make sure anybody is risking their health, or certainly in my case, not their pocketbook. You don't want to spend too much getting into the franchise, and you don't have to. One of the great things about all of this, all of the things that are available, is that you don't have to break your pocketbook on it. One thing I wanted to touch on really quickly, at least not from a photo, is the option of doing these little guys here, which are the Shoto X figures. Now, these guys, unfortunately, Xade's green kind of blends in here with the green screen behind me, are super articulated, super affordable, and really look impressive on a shelf next to your other things. And the great part about them is they're only about, give or take, $10 a pop at your local retailer. Usually if there's a Japanese food mart or food store near you, Asian food mart, things like that. Usually in most places I've found there's a selection of candy toys where you can find these things. And they're always coming out with new ones pretty much every month. There'll be ones for the current series. They're doing ones for Den-O right now. Forze's coming up here in December, if I'm not mistaken. They're great options. So hopefully, if you have the option yourself, definitely get in on them. I highly recommend them. They have better paint than they used to. But if you're into modifying things, painting them a little bit more, like say you're into Gundam model kits or things like that, these are absolutely easy to work on and a great option for that. Let me see here. I do see a comment here. I'll go ahead and bring up from Zach. Same. Rider's my favorite Toku property. Team Kamen Rider are really working hard to bring Rider to America, and I've been so fortunate to be able to assist them in my small way. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, any chance that we have to get to do something, I absolutely say we take it. Which is why I thought it was very important to show up at the event last week. You can see there in the photo, which I'll bring back up here, that
So you keep yourself to the left.
there it is. If you can see here in the photo, I'm wearing a Team Kamen Rider shirt there as well. Any chance that we get to be able to do that, we absolutely should. Much the same. It's my favorite property as well. It's kind of like that old Grandpa Simpson quote: "If we don't support this thing, it might not make it," which is really true. The more people we can have get eyes on this thing, the better. And so hopefully we'll be able to do that. But for the most part, I think that's everything I wanted to cover as far as everything within the past week goes, at least. Hopefully I'll be able to do more of these as time goes on. I know I've been off for a while, but I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, so hopefully we can do that. I'll be looking forward to making sure all of these things get more attention. If there are more meetups, I'll definitely try to attend or put out more information about them. Even if we, as fans, do our own meetups, that would be really cool too. Also be keeping eyes out on Shin Kamen Rider for any new information that comes out about that, or any new really cool CSM items, and also making sure that when Futo PI comes up, I'm on that, since we are going to get a domestic release for that over here. But thank you guys for coming out and checking out this really quick, really small stream. I appreciate you guys coming out on a Friday. During the week, you can always talk to me over on Twitter. I'm at Josh Knight First. This has been Henshin Attention for September 17th, 2021, and I will see you guys again real soon.